All right, we'll start questions this morning with Paul on the second row to coach's left.
Coach, obviously, looking at the record, I'm sure you and your players and your staff expected to be in a better spot in the SEC at this point of the season. But with still several games left in the SEC, what's kind of your message to your team and as you get ready to finish out the second half of the season?
Yeah, I would say we're not in a spot where we thought we would be, period, not just in the SEC, but overall. You know, we didn't have a stellar non-conference portion of our season. It paled in comparison to the prior 3 years in number of wins, and then even more importantly, number of quality wins for a potential resume, which if you really are paying attention, what we did in the non-league for 3 years was the special sauce, if you will, in my opinion, of why we were able to make the tournament and then get the seeds that we did the last couple of years. So we put ourselves in a hole going into the SEC play, and certainly had that mini run to start where, hey, you know, we can fight our way back into where we want to be. And then it went the wrong direction, and it's been a struggle since then. So I've said this before, these young men that we have been resilient. They came to work with the right mindset, the right approach. If we weren't having quality practices, I just wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't say we had bad ones. I just wouldn't talk about it, and because we are. And again, I know I've said this before. All that matters are how we play on game day and the results of those particular games. So, you know, we were off yesterday. We'll get together here in a few hours and put the game plan in for Tennessee and try to figure out a way to put our guys in the best position to play their best come Wednesday.
We'll go to Sam, front row middle, and then we'll head over to Jacob on the right side of coach.
As you reviewed Saturday's game, were there just any new observations or takeaways that you saw from the film of that game?
We just had too many costly turnovers in the first half that led to Arkansas runouts. You know, we talked a lot about that part of their game going into Saturday's game, that we had to take care of the ball. We had to be mindful of the type of shots that we needed to take against a team that, you know, there's an old saying, you know, a bad shot is just like a turnover. And when you turn the ball over in this league in a live ball situation, you usually pay for it. And you do it against a team like Arkansas, and you pay dearly for it. And I just felt like we moved away from how we needed to play at times in the first half, where as I rewatched it, I thought for a while we were playing exactly how we needed to play to give our team the best chance to win. I mean, we weren't leading at that time, but it was a manageable number, and we were in position where, you know, we wanted to get it to the last 5 minutes, obviously, and have a chance to win the game. But and then in the second half, we just had a hard time, you know, defending them and man. And we talked in here after the game about switching up our defenses and getting them off rhythm, and we did. And then our offense actually, you know, we scored, you know, in the second half and had some decent possessions, but the league got to the point where we just couldn't get ourselves back in the game.
Everyone has seen Jamar kind of blocking shots and getting rebounds. How much growth have you seen from him offensively, and what's kind of the next step in his development on that end?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know it sounds boring, and I've said it often, but it's just how it is. Like, the game slows down for freshmen at some point, and I think it is slowing down. Does it need to slow down some more? Yeah. You know, he had the pass there in the middle of the lane where he threw it, you know, with too much velocity on it. It was off target because he was sped up mentally. but I thought, making the 2 free throws and consecutive, because he works on it a ton. And as I watch him, like, it keeps going in, but it's a different feel, in the game. It's hard to replicate that pressure, et cetera, when, nobody's in the gym, and there's certainly, you can put pressure on him, but it's not like game pressure. And then I think, as he continues to get more comfortable and more experience, the skill set will improve, because he's a hard worker, he's a great kid, and that will come with time. Right now, he's just a very dependable defender, shot blocker. He's a luxury for someone like me, because I like to change up our schemes, especially on ball screen coverage, and he can guard it any way you want to guard it that way, and not everyone is built that way, so that's a luxury for us when he's on the floor, to be able to switch up some of our coverages with Jamar.
Second row middle with Danny P, and then we'll slide back to Paul.
Coach, it seems like Achor is getting more and more comfortable with things you're asking him to do. Just what have you seen his progress recently that led to a pretty good game on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, from a stat sheet perspective, if you look at it point blank, he had a nice game. He had some points, obviously some rebounds, made a couple threes, if I'm not mistaken. He just got to know who he is, like all players need to do. They have to play with the utmost confidence, but at the same time, they have to play to their strengths. And Achor is no different that way. When he's around the basket, he's got to be mindful of, who he's playing against, and if it's a bigger shot blocker dude, or if it's someone that he can shoot over. He tends to get himself in some trouble at times around the basket, depending on the matchup that he has. And we're encouraging him to just, get people up in the air, use shot fakes, use foot fakes, find a way to most players in this league, are attracted to, blocking the shot, very long and athletic. And so to try to counter that, you've got to, use some fakes and some slights and figure out a way to get them off their feet and take advantage of it that way. But, from an offensive perspective, he's definitely settling in and having some better games for us.
I know you probably hadn't seen him today yet, but any update on Serge after he left the game the other night?
I got a update Sunday from our trainer saying that he was okay. That he's I expect him to be at practice today. So like you said, I haven't physically seen him, but the reports that I've been given thus far, at least yesterday, were that he was okay.
Was it an elbow he took to the head? Or?
I think it was more of a hand, maybe a palm. I don't think it was an elbow.
And also on that, we saw Cameron Paul in a boot. Do you have any just update on his status right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, Cameron's redshirting for us, but he tore his Achilles recently, and he's going to have surgery tomorrow.
Go back to Jacob to coach's right.
Just what are your thoughts on this Tennessee team?
I mean, it's another typical Coach Rick Barnes' teams where they're ultra physical in every aspect of the game. It's when you play them, you better be ready for a fist fight. I mean, that's how they want to make the game, and he's usually pretty successful at getting the game to be of that variety. They're always big and strong around the basket, and this particular group doesn't disappoint that way. They're a power basketball team. They certainly will pick their spots in transition, but they're just fine being deliberate on the offensive end of the court and taking their time to get exactly what they want, and try to make the defense have to guard longer and make mistakes and try to let his kids take advantage of it. So again, like it's a typical Coach Barnes team, and there's probably coming in the league, there's no one that I respected more from the outside looking in than him, and still feel the same after being in the league for 4 years.
Anything else for Coach? All right, we'll see you guys Wednesday.